Echo Lima 87. This is 100 watts and a wire.
Well, hello and welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. This is Amateur Radio Amplified, episode number 419. Good to be with you. My name is Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel, and we are recording this in Sarasota, Florida. Toward the end of October, I don't even want to tell you what the temperatures are here. I can tell you that the snowbirds have started to arrive. You can tell in the markets, in the museums, along the beaches, in the streets. I live in a very walking type of neighborhood, and you're seeing new faces. Now, during the year, I should say during the summer, it had a very transient feel about it, meaning rentals, Airbnbs, people coming down on vacation, hanging out, visiting. People were in and out. Now, there was a bit of a lull between the end of summer and, say, the third week of October here in Sarasota, as the snowbirds literally flock to the west side of Florida. Welcome to them. I'm sure none of them are listening. It's amazing. You walk past the streets and you see big houses, little houses, vacant. You know, it's a whole different kind of thing where they have property here and they have property somewhere else, and maybe they're starting to make their way back. But the weather here, nonetheless, is wonderful. We are sometimes upper 50s at night, lower mid-70s during the day, and usually I'm so used to being in the Midwest and out there in the heartland, just north of St. Louis, where the homestead still resides. It's cold. By the second week of October, that weekend ushers in that cold temperatures, and I imagine that's what you are feeling as well. I hope everything's going well with you and your antenna projects are coming along, or whatever it may be. Usually the fall is a great time to get some things together, and I was just talking to my daughter about this because of the temperatures and the changes we're experiencing. And usually when the temperatures start to dip down a little bit, I start to feel like a sense of urgency that I need to take care of some things. We need to put the garden to bed. We need to whatever, right? This is kind of it. You clean up before it gets too cold and you can't. Now I'm living in paradise. They're flying planes over. It's okay, man. I have that Neil Young philosophy of recording right now. This isn't for a client. This is for our friends, and planes fly over. These are people probably taking lessons, learning how to fly, getting their license. I don't know. I'm not doing it, but I'm not too far from the airport. And it happens. Specific to amateur radio, the fall always symbolizes some things I need to get buttoned up before it gets too cold and you don't want to get outside. But you still have a little bit of time before that sets in. So don't forget to clean up your connectors, tape them up nice. Check your ropes, make sure your ropes and supporting lines have not frayed if they're over top of trees like mine were back in Missouri and are here in Sarasota. And what are you working on? That's what I want to know. But this is the time to kind of get things cleaned up, cleared up. I always wanted to make sure that my switcher box was about 18 inches off of the ground in case snow came. I didn't want my antennas and cables sitting in deep snow, so I put my box up a little bit higher. Made sure everything was tied off nicely. Had the window sashes to my elements, so they had a little bit of move to blow in the maneuverability to move in the wind, because you don't want them tied tight like guitar strings, friends. Ask me how I know. Oh Lord, I remember going to see Pearl Jam in Kentucky and a storm came through Missouri St. Louis, specifically north. And at the time, I had all of my antennas locked down, tight like guitar strings. I mean, you could have tuned it. You could have tuned it like a guitar. Came back home, pling, pling, pling. Mad as a hornet until I figured out you don't want to lock down the ends, especially when you're hanging in trees, because trees move. There you go. I want to let you know our friends at Bioenno Power, they do sponsor us. They make the best lithium phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Visit them online at bioennopower.com. That's BIOENNO power.com. Thank you to our friends for helping support us. You can too. I am reminded with a change in the weather, we do have a shop. One way you can support the community and the podcast that you enjoy is to consider buying yourself a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a hat. Visit 100wattsinawire.com, click on the shop there, and pick yourself up some colors, and help out the show. Everything is available at 100wattsinawire.com. And if you feel so inclined to support the content and community, say you don't want another sweatshirt. I don't know why. I love sweatshirts, particularly black ones. Black zip-up hoodies, man. It's kind of my trademark. I just dig it. I don't know how that happened, but I like it. You can go to buymeacoffee.com and donate that way as well. I noticed, well, let's talk a little bit about what I put on. We're on the social media. I did have a question for you because I've rejoined YouTube because I love live streaming. Some friends are joining us over there. That'll be cool. And people are getting the hankering, including myself, to start live streaming again. I miss it. I miss the community. But sometimes, as I say, life won't leave you alone. And the move from St. Louis to Sarasota has taken more family time than I may have anticipated. I knew there'd be a lull, and I knew I'd have to put it down for a little bit. Just looking for employment and settling everybody into the schools and the new job and all those things require time, and you have to take that time. And I encourage you to do that. If you have to move, you have to make a change and make it your life, your family first. You'll never get these days back with your children and your grandchildren. So, take the time you need. This is a hobby after all, and a great community. But as I've mentioned in the past, in recent episodes, that, sometimes you got to take a break. What am I working on? No, not flying a plane. This show is not I don't even know. It's a small plane. The small planes fly over. It's a private business over by the airport. I'm not really working on too much right now. I've mentioned the 7610 needs to go back to the shop. That's going to have to wait. It's sitting on my floor, and I'm looking at it right now, and every time I look at it, it pisses me off. Nobody did anything wrong. I think it's a computer-type glitch inside on the spectrum scope. It just disappears. 7300 as a backup. That's what we're up to. Outside here, I've never been here in the winter, but I basically feel that at night, it's in the upper 50s. During the day, you're in the lower to mid 70s, all the way to maybe May. And people just keep saying, you're going to love it. If you like this, you're going to love it. So apparently I'm going to love it. And I don't know. Everything seems to be working out there with my antenna. I am cleaned up. We are still in hurricane season, so I'm not sleeping on the potential of a storm. Watching one right now named Tammy move across the globe, and just just keeping an eye on things. We'll see, but we're staying prepared in that way. But projects in our community, we're on Discord, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok. I don't know if amateur radio does well on the TikTok or not. I've made a return to YouTube and TikTok. You can find us in those places. This comes off of Facebook. My community question was, if the creek doesn't rise, you've often heard that on the air. What are your ham radio plans for this week? And we can see that Brian, POTA, right out of the box. POTA, Parks on the Air, has done its share to really prop up and even elevate this hobby and service. My thanks to those who do it. It is super fun. And I can't wait to get a little more time, open it up, and take you around to some of the parks here. We will capture audio as we do that. He's November 8, X-Ray Charlie Oscar. Randy says he's going to sell $500,000 of products on Friday, and then the same on Saturday. He's an auctioneer. 73. James says he's going to build a Hermes Light 2 SDR. He's N2 Alpha Delta Victor. I think it's Hermes. Hermes Light. Alan says hopefully he'll do at least 2 POTA activations. Another POTA. Good on you, friend. Steven says New York and worked all Germany contests. Mike says 2 meters this weekend. He's got to work, so no HF for him. Don says he's going to be attending the Pacific Division Convention. Larry's going to fix his NFED half wave that happened to lose a battle with a tree branch. Brother, I have been there. I've been there. This time of year is good, though, taking a pause to think about that and to think about the large oak trees I had back in Missouri. The wintertime after the leaves fall, you can see dead wood. Spring is good, too. You see the leaves start to pop up, right? Then you know the ones that are kind of dead branches. And you just do your best if you have to, and I had to in the past. Move that line, because I've had a line and an antenna under a huge dead branch. And, yeah, you're going to lose. You're going to lose that battle, as our friend reminds us. It happens. Larry, sorry about that. Mikey. He says the amount of hours I get to work this weekend will determine if anything else gets done. If it's last weekend, he's going to be working 38 hours. David says maybe he's going to put up an NFED half-wave antenna. I thought about it here because I've got a lot of tree coverage here. I could bend the wires all over the place, but I'm thinking I'm trying to stay stealthy, trying to stay clean with it. I don't have my external tuner here to hang outside. It's just a little dicey yet. And one more, Bill says he's a KC9 ZMT. He's going to head to Orange Beach. He's taking his HF and try his luck there from the beach. So some things going on in amateur radio. Join our community on Facebook, Discord. We're on TikTok. I make short daily videos, usually whatever's coming across my mind. I don't know. YouTube, I'm placing short videos there as well. We will expand and grow it, but I am really looking forward to getting back to live streaming as we start to slowly come up for air here in Sarasota. That's what we plan to do. Conversation, or at least a little blurb written by, it's in QST magazine. Don't you wonder how long magazines are going to last in amateur radio? I'm flipping through it here. And the CEO, David Minster, he doesn't listen. He's November Alpha 2 Alpha Alpha. I'd be surprised if he did. If he does, welcome. He wrote a second century article about the focus being on technicians. I think there's a lot of technicians. The issue that seems to be the problem, and his slant on this article is, they are the future. How do we kind of cultivate them? And one of the issues been for several years is trying to get many of the technicians to upgrade to general, to start playing around with HF. There's probably a small portion of the technicians that don't want to upgrade. Maybe they're doing it for survival. Self-reliance. Maybe a ham radio is a tool in their preparedness toolbox and they don't have intentions of. And I know back during the pandemic, Lots of people were getting their license just for that simple reason. They wanted to be able to talk to their people in town. They wanted to be talking to their wife if needed. And if I've even talked to people that said, look, I'm not even that interested. I'm going to get the radio or the HT. I'm going to program it. And if the S hits the F, well, I'm just going to crack the mic and go for it and F the FCC, FFF. Now, I don't think that's a good way to go about it. But I understand what they're saying when they say, when it's all going down, I need to communicate, whether it's CB, ham radio. I do encourage you to get your technician license if you're studying. You can do this. That's my point. You can absolutely pass this test. Move on to your general, start playing around with HF, frequencies, maybe activating some parks. But with a technician, you can experiment. You can join the ARES, the Amateur Radio Emergency System Service, rather. ARES. And start to meet other people. Start to get involved. And I think that's mostly the premise of the article here by Mr. Minster, who's saying that we've got a lot of technicians out there. We need to cultivate them because they are the next generation. The next generation also exists in extra class and the general portion. I think I mentioned POTA just a bit ago, and I think that's one of the things, man. I think that is a tremendous selling point of this hobby is people who love nature, getting out, making contacts, seeing the parks, having sort of an opportunity to see new places, roam around, take a hike, take a walk, make some contacts, drive in and out. And I think it's a great thing. In the coming days, we'll talk a little bit about mic fright and how people just don't sit around. Maybe they sit and listen, but they may not be inclined to key the mic, to press the push to talk and call CQ. There's some people who don't want to do that. I'm probably one of them. I sit and listen as much as I can. And chances are, unless I have somebody listening for me, I don't, or if I'm running a net, that kind of thing. But I'm not so inclined to just say, well, let me pick a frequency and see who's out there. Many people are, and I think that's great. To each their own. On the POTA front, I made a video and I put it on YouTube and I put it on TikTok, and it was a POTA activator. Didn't write down the call. I had been listening to the School Club Roundup. A young man, couple actually. I was listening for at least 20 minutes, if not more. Calling CQ Roundup. Operating on 20 meters, I think it was 14,317. Well, the young fella's calling, and I understand that maybe this brother who was out there in the park didn't hear him. I heard both sides. I heard the park, and I heard the School Club Roundup station. Maybe they didn't hear each other, and that's fine. But a etiquette faux pas, an operating faux pas, a process that was missed by the park. Again, I love the park, gave it much love, not throwing shade to the operator or the program. This particular operator just jumped on the frequency and started calling. He didn't ask if the frequency was in use. He didn't clearly listen long enough because there were stations calling the School Club Roundup station. If you don't hear the main operator, you're probably going to hear somebody calling, right? He didn't listen. He jumped right in, and one of the benefits of the POTA platform is they've got a spotting mechanism. So they can spot themselves, in other words, with people who are chasing parks. Some people love to chase parks. Some are activating parks. Some are doing both, whatever. It's a very supportive facet of this community. Unfortunately, you have to listen, man. You can't just jump in. He jumps in, starts calling CQ, School Club Roundup's going, they're both going. Whether or not they heard each other, who knows? I wasn't there with the young man. I'm sure his mentor said, let's peel off and move and be a good neighbor. A teachable moment for the young man who probably heard a good mentoring lesson about getting on a frequency, listening to it, calling to see if it's in use 2, 3 times. Didn't happen. Did not happen with this park. And what happened, I believe, because the park was able to spot itself on the Parks on the Air site, a gang of mofos came. And what happened to the young operator? Squeezed out. So it's unfortunate. I don't believe it was intentional. I just think there was some bad practice there. There was definitely a bad etiquette and practice. Please, friends, if you're going to take a frequency, you're going to go and try to call on a frequency, please listen. Listen for a few minutes. Get set up. Put your antenna up. When you get up, get settled. Listen while you're getting your papers together, whether you're in a car, at a table. Listen, because you would hear other people calling the young man who you may not be able to hear. Maybe you're too close to where he is. I heard you both. Is the frequency in use? Somebody would have come on and said, hell, I would have said, yeah. Young fella's using it right now. School club roundup. Don't crap on his head, brah. Move. Peace and love, friends. But look, this is the kind of thing where we're talking about the next generation, a school club roundup, and somebody, just because they're in a popular program, doesn't give you the permission to operate in a way that is not traditional, without etiquette, without listening. All these things you showed a young man how to do wrong. I feel bad for you, friend. And then I feel a little bit bad for him, and I hope his mentor said, let's just move here. We've got a swarm of bees chasing this. So there you are. It's my little lesson for today. Please listen. I hate to sound like an old man. I've only been doing this for more than a decade or so. But, you know, there are ways, there are better ways to do this. And you want to make sure you're not dropping them down right on somebody's head and forcing them to leave. And the unfortunate fact that this was a young person here, probably after school. This was in the afternoon. He's probably staying after school to participate in this club. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Can I get a witness this wasn't right? I digress. Peace and love. Peace and love. Please visit 100wattsinawire.com. Get your 100-watt ID. You can also buy something in the shop if you like it. It is getting colder. We know that. You can get the OG logo. That's the original one from over 9 seasons ago. We're 419 episodes in. Get yourself a sweatshirt. Stay warm. Look cool. All of this. You can also buy me a cup of coffee, one coffee at a time. Get yourself a membership if you like. $5 a month, cheaper than a cup of coffee. And you can get discounts from participating businesses. You say, see, child, what's all this? What? That's right. Radio waves. We've got Ni4L, MFJ, BioNO Power. All participate. So if you become a member, you can get a discount on those products from those people. They control the discounts, not your boy. You also will receive the benefit of supporting this content. Also, I want to do cohorts where we gather and have conversations, share projects. You know what I'm on. Good luck the rest of the way. Take care of yourselves. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. 7-3.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.